Hello everyone, my name's Kate and I'm here at the Eastside Freedom Library in St. Paul, Minnesota. And today I have 3 stories for you that I really like. They don't follow any kind of theme or anything, they're just 3 really great stories. And the first one that I have for you today is called Jingle Dancer by Cynthia Smith. Tink, 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 sang cone-shaped jingles sewn to Grandma Wolf's dress. Every grandma bounce step brought clattering tinks as light blurred silver against the jingles of tin. Jenna daydreamed at the kitchen table, tasting honey on fry bread, her heart beating to the brum, 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 brum of the powwow drum. As moon kissed sun goodnight, Jenna shifted her head on Grandma Wolf's shoulder. I want to jingle dance too. Next powwow you could dance girls, Grandma Wolf answered, but we don't have enough time to mail order tins for rolling jingles. Again and again, Jenna watched a videotape of Grandma Wolf jingle dancing. When Grandma bounce stepped on TV, Jenna bounce stepped on the family room carpet. But Jenna's dress would not be able to sing. It needed 4 rows of jingles. As sun fetched morning, Jenna danced east to Great Aunt Sis's porch. Jenna bounced steps crunched the autumn leaves, but her step didn't jingle. Once again, Great Aunt Sis told Jenna a Muskogee Creek story about Bat. Although the other animals had said he was too small to make a difference, Bat won a ball game by flying high and catching the ball in his teeth. Rising sunlight reached through a window pane and flashed against. What was it hanging in Aunt Sis's bedroom? Jingles on a dress, too long, quiet. May I borrow enough jingles to make a row? Jenna asked, not wanting to take so many that Aunt Sis's dress would lose its voice. You may, Aunt Sis answered, rubbing her calves. My legs don't work so good anymore. Will you dance for me? I will, said Jenna, with a kiss on Aunt Sis's cheek. Now Jenna's dress needed 3 more rows. As sun arrived mid-circle, Jenna skipped south to Mrs. Scott's brand new duplex. At Jenna's side, the jingles clanked. Mrs. Scott led Jenna into the kitchen. Once again, Jenna rolled dough, and Mrs. Scott fried it. May I borrow enough jingles to make a row? Jenna asked, not wanting to take so many that Mrs. Scott's dress would lose its voice. You may, Mrs. Scott answered, tossing flour with her apron. At powwow, I'll be busy selling fry bread and Indian tacos. Will you dance for me? I will, said Jenna with a high five. Now Jenna's dress needed 2 more rows. As sun caught a glimpse of moon, Jenna strolled to Cousin Elizabeth's apartment. At Jenna's side, jingles clanked. Elizabeth had arrived home late from the law firm. Once again, Jenna helped Elizabeth carry in her files. May I borrow enough jingles to make a row? Jenna asked, not wanting to take so many that Elizabeth's dress would lose its voice. You may, Elizabeth answered, burrowing through her messy closet for her jingle dress. This weekend, I'm working on a big case, and I can't go to powwow. Will you dance for me? I will, said Jenna, clasping her cousin's hands. Now Jenna's dress needed 1 more row of jingles, but she didn't know which way to turn. As moon glowed pale, Jenna shuffled north to Grandma Wolf's. At Jenna's side, Jingles sat silent. High above, clouds wavered like worried ghosts. When Jenna tugged open the door, Jingles sang, tink, 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 tink. Grandma Wolf was jingle dancing on TV. Jenna breathed in every hey-a-hoa of a powwow song. Her heart beat brum, 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 brum to the pounding of the drum. On family room carpet, beaded moccasins waited for Jenna's feet. She shucked off a sneaker and slipped on a moccasin that long before had danced with Grandma Wolf. Jenna knew where to find her 4th row. May I borrow enough jingles to make a row? Jenna asked, not wanting to take so many that Grandma Wolf's dress would lose its voice. You may, Grandma said with a hug, and now Jenna's dress could sing. Every night that week, Jenna helped Grandma Wolf sew on jingles and bring together the dance regalia. And every night, Jenna practiced her bounce step. Brum, brum, brum sounded the drum at powwow the next weekend. The light blurred silver, and Jenna jingle danced. For Great Aunt Sis, whose legs ached. For Mrs. Scott, who sold fry bread. For Elizabeth, who worked on her big case. And for Grandma Wolf, who warmed like sun. Tink, 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 tink. Okay, our next book is about an artist named Basquiat, Jean-Michel Basquiat, and it's called Radiant Child. And it's about this artist mostly when he was a kid. And I love the pictures in this story. They try to copy the style of Basquiat's art. Somewhere in Brooklyn, between hearts that thump, double Dutch and hopscotch, and salty mouths that slurp sweet ice, a little boy dreamed of being a famous artist. In his house, you can tell a serious artist dwells. He sits at a table with pencils scattered everywhere. Jean-Michel draws from morning until night with a serious face amid a storm of papers. He refuses to sleep until he has created a masterpiece. At night, images enchant Jean-Michel's mind, and he wakes from his dreams to add one more line. His drawings are not neat or clean, but he does color inside. Nor does he color inside the lines. They are sloppy, ugly, and sometimes weird, but somehow still beautiful. His art comes from his mother, Matilda, a Puerto Rican woman who designs and sews and cooks and cleans and makes the house look like a stylish magazine. But most important, she lies on the floor and draws with Jean-Michel and on his father's old work papers. From her, he learns that art is not only in the poetry books that she reads to him or the theaters or museums that they visit. Art is in the street games of little children, in our style and the words that we speak. It's how the messy patchwork of the city creates a new meaning for ordinary things. While visiting the museum, they look at his favorite works of art. Reading the story behind each artist, reading the story behind each work, this is how Jean-Michel learns what it means to be a famous artist. Back at home, he creates art on the floor as his father, Gerard, plays jazz records. Mama Matilda cooks a rose con pollo and calls Jean-Michel mi amor. The energy and life of the city can be felt in each line of his drawing. As time goes by, Jean-Michel learns that art has healing power. After a car accident, he is scared and confused, and Matilda gives him a book to calm his fears. It's filled with pictures of bones, skulls, and other body parts. Jean-Michel draws from it until he knows it all by heart, and he is no longer afraid. Back at home, Jean-Michel's body heals, but his heart breaks. His mother's mind is not well, and the family breaks. She's no longer able to lie on the floor and draw with Jean-Michel, but she sits by the window singing only to birds. Jean-Michel is confused and filled with terrible blues when Matilda can no longer live at home. He tries drawing the terrible out of his blues, but things are not the same. As Jean-Michel grows older, he visits his mother when he can, always bringing his artwork to show, telling her that one day it will be in a museum, when I am a famous artist. A teenager now, Jean-Michel decides, Papa, I will be a very, very famous artist one day, with a sly look and a twinkle in his eye. Jean-Michel leaves Brooklyn for New York City, the Lower East Side, a concrete jungle where only the tough survive. During the day, dressed in a green jumpsuit splattered with paint, Jean-Michel stays with friends, sleeping on couches and floors, leaving a barrage of collages and poem-filled papers everywhere he goes. At night, Jean-Michel spray paints the walls downtown with poems and drawings that catch the eye of artists, gallery goers, and passers-by. Under his art, he signs the name Samu instead of Jean-Michel. Everybody wants to know, who is Samu? Samu moves from street corners to art gallery walls with powerful color compositions in line, collaging and painting on anything he can find. His art is still not neat or clean, and definitely not inside the lines, but somehow still beautiful. With his magical charm, Jean-Michel draws a crowd, but when it's time to work, he prefers to be alone, with the radio and TV on full blast. Now in expensive suits splattered with paint, he flips through stacks of magazines and open books and paints into the night, sometimes for days at a time, while sounds and images jump into his head. Jean-Michel, an artist among artists, never doubts one line, creating from a soundtrack that is all his own. People describe him as radiant, wild, a genius child, but in his heart he is a king and draws crowns for himself and everyone he admires. A grown man now with the art world in his hands, Jean-Michel still visits his mother when he can, and at his most important shows, above all the critics, fans, and artists he admires, the place of honor is his mother's, a queen on a throne. He is a famous artist now. The last story that I have for you today is about another little boy named Oliver who feels different. Oliver felt a bit different, but it didn't matter. He lived in a world all his own, happily with his friends. They had lots of adventures together. So you can spot his little friends on every page if you look closely. So there are his friends. They searched for treasures and rode camels through the desert. They crossed narrow bridges and bravely fought sharks. They jumped over oceans and slid down waterfalls. They even visited the other side of the world. But sometimes there were things Oliver had to do on his own. See, there are his friends sitting on the wall. And sometimes, wherever he was, he wanted to fly away. One evening, he played the piano for his friends, but no one listened. Oliver felt a bit different. That next day, he was playing a tennis match on his own, and the ball flew over his head and bounced and bounced and rolled away. So Oliver set off on another adventure, through the wild jungle, over the river, and up the mountain until he found a narrow gate to somewhere new. It was the beginning of the best adventure he'd ever had. Oliver was a bit different, but it didn't matter. Olivia was a bit different too. Okay, everybody, thanks for coming this week, and I will see you next week.
Thank you for visiting our video. I'm Beth Cleary.
I'm Peter Ratcliffe, and this is Orso, the library dog.
We are the co-founders and co-executive directors of the East Side Freedom Library in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Our mission is to inspire solidarity, work for justice, and advocate for equity for all. If you enjoy our programming and want to support our work, please visit our website, eastsidefreedomlibrary.org.